which showcases through splendid bronze murals some of the most valiant battles fought by our armed forces. The Tyag Chakra, or the Circle of Sacrifice, is where the names of our martyrs are etched in gold letters on red granite in a Chakravyu formation. The Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, now entering the Circle of Immortality, and he's about to lay the wreath now. The circular shape of the wreath represents eternity. It has no beginning and no end. An unending circle of life symbolizing everlasting life and the immortality of the soul. The Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, leads the nation in paying homage to the immortal soldier.
Antar Senagon! Salame! Just! Antar Senagon!
The buglers sounding the rouse and the guard commander ordering Salami Shastra or salute with arms, marking the completion of the 2-minute silence. Silence which eclipses words but says it all, making time stand still but gratitude tall, letting our prayers lift in quiet song, our faith in our soldiers ever strong. The Prime Minister will now be escorted by the Chief of Defence and the 3 service chiefs towards the ceremonial book, where he will pen down his gratitude and reverence.
अमर जवानों को कृतज्ञ राष्ट्र की ओर से माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने पुष्पांजलि अर्पित की। इंडिया गेट पर राष्ट्रीय समर स्मारक अमर जवानों के बलिदान का स्मरण देशवासियों को कराता है। देश को सुरक्षित रखने के लिए सर्वोच्च बलिदान की एक लंबी परंपरा है वीर जवानों की। अमर जवान अमर हैं यादों में। पुष्पांजलि कृतज्ञता है राष्ट्र की कि उनका बलिदान हमेशा प्रेरणा देगा नौजवानों को, आने वाली पीढ़ियों को।
The complete wreath-laying ceremony by the Prime Minister here at the National War Memorial, a solemn and poignant one. A nation has different ways of recognizing and respecting sacrifice. To pay homage to its warriors prior to celebrating our republic is a heartfelt way of showing reverence. Days like today bring us together in our national consciousness and help us make the journey from me to we, from self to country.
अब अपने विचार, मन के भाव पुस्तिका में दर्ज करते हुए प्रधानमंत्री श्री मोदी महज कलम से लिखे शब्द नहीं हैं, ये राष्ट्रीय स्वाभिमान के हस्ताक्षर हैं।
Time moves on, leaving in its wake stories, memories and heroes. And here at the National War Memorial, we commemorate those countless unsung warriors who gave their today for our tomorrow. Their sacrifice given selflessly, soulfully and seamlessly. We owe them a deep debt of gratitude.
हमारे वीर जवान हमारे असली नायक हैं। हमारे जवान देश की रक्षा में जागते हैं, तभी तो हम घरों में चैन से सोते हैं। अब माननीय प्रधानमंत्री राष्ट्रीय समर स्मारक से प्रस्थान कर रहे हैं। कुछ ही देर में राजपथ पर उनका आगमन होगा, जहां परेड प्रारंभ होने के बाद सलामी मंच पर तीनों सेनाओं के सर्वोच्च कमांडर और माननीय राष्ट्रपति श्री रामनाथ कोविंद परेड की सलामी लेंगे। सन 1950 में पहले गणतंत्र दिवस पर देश के प्रथम राष्ट्रपति डॉक्टर राजेंद्र प्रसाद ने परेड की सलामी ली थी। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री प्रस्थान कर रहे हैं राष्ट्रीय समर स्मारक से राजपथ पर सलामी मंच की ओर।
As the Prime Minister leaves the National War Memorial after the wreath-laying ceremony and moves towards the saluting base at Rajpath, he carries with him the gratitude of a nation.
And these are visuals from the forecourt of Rashtrapati Bhavan. The President of India, Shri Ramnath Kovind, and the guest of honor, the President of Brazil, His Excellency Mr. Jair Bolsonaro, will be given a ceremonial send-off by the President's bodyguard as they leave Rashtrapati Bhavan for Rajpath. We can see the majesty of Rashtrapati Bhavan from the forecourt. These are the 31 imposing steps that lead to Darbar Hall.
दिखाई देगा। राष्ट्रीय सल्यूट मध्य देख।
The President's bodyguard, the magnificent men on their magnificent mounts, adding to the pomp and ceremony of the occasion, looking spectacular in their winter ceremonial uniform. The officers and men of the PBG are excellent horsemen, outstanding tanksmen and paratroopers, being led today by Colonel Anup Tiwari on his mount Virat, and the second in command is Lieutenant Colonel Shardul Sabikhi on Vikrant. The presidential cavalcade will leave Rashtrapati Bhavan's forecourt shortly. Only the best of the best are selected for this elite regiment, which is the senior most regiment of the Indian Army, the President's bodyguard. The horses are no less distinctive. They are of a minimum height of 15 hands and of uniform bay color. The President's bodyguard forms a very important part of the ceremonials which are connected with Rashtrapati Bhavan.
Meanwhile, at Rajpath, we have the Raksha Mantri, Mr. Rajnath Singh, who's already here, the Raksha Rajya Mantri, Mr. Shripad Nayak, Defence Secretary Dr. Ajay Kumar, General Bipin Rawat, Chief of Defence Staff, has arrived here after attending the wreath-laying ceremony at the National War Memorial, and the service chiefs too, General Manoj Mukund Naravane, Chief of Army Staff, Admiral Karambir Singh, Chief of Naval Staff, and Air Chief Marshal Rakesh Kumar Singh Bhadoria, Chief of Air Staff.
रक्षा मंत्री श्री राजनाथ सिंह सलामी मंच के निकट उपस्थित। कुछ ही समय के पश्चात माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी का आगमन होगा। राजपथ पर प्रधानमंत्री महोदय का काफिला आगे बढ़ रहा है और लोगों के चेहरों पर उत्साह और उमंग साफ पढ़ी जा सकती है। देश का सर्वोच्च नेतृत्व आज कृतज्ञता ज्ञापन किया माननीय प्रधानमंत्री महोदय ने राष्ट्रीय समर स्मारक पर, और अब वे पहुंच चुके हैं गणतंत्र दिवस समारोह के मुख्य आयोजन स्थल राजपथ स्थित सलामी मंच पर। एक बहुत ही खास अवसर, एक बहुत ही विशेष अवसर, देश के हर निवासी के लिए, हर नागरिक के लिए हमारा 71वां गणतंत्र दिवस। अपार जनसमूह राजपथ के दोनों तरफ मौजूद है इस समारोह का साक्षी बनने के लिए। मुख्य आयोजन स्थल राजपथ पर आगमन हो रहा है माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी का। स्वागत रक्षा मंत्री श्री राजनाथ सिंह द्वारा दर्शकों द्वारा करतल ध्वनि से अभिनंदन माननीय प्रधानमंत्री महोदय का यहां राजपथ पर। उत्साह, उमंग, उत्कंठा जिनके चेहरों पर पढ़ी जा सकती है। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री महोदय का स्वागत वायुसेना अध्यक्ष एयर चीफ मार्शल राकेश कुमार सिंह भदौरिया द्वारा, नौसेना अध्यक्ष एडमिरल करमबीर सिंह, थल सेना अध्यक्ष जनरल मनोज मुकुंद नरावने, चीफ ऑफ डिफेंस स्टाफ जनरल बिपिन रावत, रक्षा सचिव श्री अजय कुमार भी उपस्थित माननीय प्रधानमंत्री महोदय के स्वागत के लिए विशिष्ट दर्शक दीर्घा, जहां माननीय प्रधानमंत्री महोदय अभिवादन करते हुए आमंत्रित अतिथियों का देश के सर्वोच्च न्यायालय के मुख्य न्यायाधीश पूर्व प्रधानमंत्री डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह, जिनका अभिवादन किया माननीय प्रधानमंत्री महोदय ने। बहुत ही अविस्मरणीय अवसर, देश का 71वां गणतंत्र दिवस आगमन हो चुका है माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी का सलामी मंच पर।
The arrival of dignitaries continues here at the saluting base on Rajpath. The Prime Minister waving out to a very excited crowd over here. January is one of the coldest months here in New Delhi, and though the day dawned bearing a thin veil of mist, it seems to have now changed into its celebratory cloak of sunshine. And what a wonderful day for our parade today. In today's era of fast movement, short attention spans and quick turnaround times, the role of traditional ceremonies and protocol is all the more special. History, ceremony and protocol all have a way of giving context, of anchoring the present in a stability that has weathered time. The seamless nature of the transfer and transitions of these traditions help to serve strengthen a nation. And this is the carcade, which signifies the arrival of our next dignitary. The Prime Minister, the Defence Minister, the three service chiefs, the CDS, all here to greet the arrival of the Vice President of India, Shri M. Venkaiah Naidu, and his wife, Srimati Usha Naidu. Our chief guest for this year's parade is Mr. Jair Bolsonaro, who shall be arriving shortly with the President of India, Shri Ramnath Kovind. It's also a very special day for India and Brazil. India and Brazil have strong social, economic and cultural ties, and in Brazil there is enormous interest in India's religions, philosophy and art. People kitted out in their warm winter woolens, waiting for the parade to start, and this is the arrival of the First Lady of India, Mrs. Savita Kovind. The strains of Shubh Swagatam, the welcome song, suffusing the air with its warmth and melody.
स्वागतम की धुन और ये संकेत है कि भारत के माननीय राष्ट्रपति कुछ ही समय में सलामी मंच के सामने पधारने वाले हैं। स्वागतम पंडित नरेंद्र शर्मा के शब्द और स्वागतम की धुन पंडित रविशंकर ने बनाई थी।
These images and moments are so unique to Republic Day celebrations. On Rajpath now, the arrival in state of Mr. Ramnath Kovind, the President of India, and our chief guest, His Excellency Jair Bolsonaro, the President of Brazil. Always such a spectacular sight, the uniforms of red and gold, all the brilliant accoutrements, the spurs, the boots, the aiguillettes, and the men all at least 6 feet tall, and of course the horses, magnificent and beautiful. The oldest and senior-most regiment of the Indian Army, the President's bodyguard. The Commandant, Colonel Anup Tiwari on his Mount Virat. The second in command is Lieutenant Colonel Shardul Sabiki on his charger Vikrant. The war cry and motto of the President's bodyguard is Bharat Mata Ki Jai. The front division of the ceremonial escort, led by Risaldar Major and Honorary Lieutenant Kuldeep Singh on Glorious. The regimental colours being carried by Risaldar Jasmail Singh on Ronak, and the rear division commanded by Risaldar Ravinder Singh on his horse Sultan. The crisp sound of horseshoes on the tarmac, now getting louder. Prime Minister Narendra Modi waiting to receive the President and our chief guest. The crowd's also eager, warm and welcoming.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sri Ramnath Kovind, the President of India, accompanied by His Excellency Mr. Jair Messias Bolsonaro, President of the Federative Republic of Brazil.
President Mr. Ramnath Kovind and our chief guest, His Excellency Mr. Jair Bolsonaro, the President of Brazil, arriving for the Republic Day parade at Rajpath. Being received by Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi.
The President of India and the state guests being received by the Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi.
And they'll now be presented to Mr. Rajnath Singh, Raksha Mantri, the Raksha Rajya Mantri, Shripad Nayak, General Bipin Rawat, Chief of Defence Staff, General Manoj Mukund Naravane, Chief of Army Staff, Admiral Karambir Singh, Chief of Naval Staff, Air Chief Marshal Rakesh Kumar Singh Bhadoria, Chief of Air Staff, and Defence Secretary Dr. Ajay Kumar.
As the 38th President of Brazil. In 1977, he graduated from the prestigious military academy of Aguilas Negras. In 1988, he joined politics and represented Rio de Janeiro for 7 consecutive terms, highlighting his deep connect with the masses. His Excellency